Well, everybody. This is an unexpected stream. This is a quick stream. It's brought to you by LIVE Products. LIVE, live now. We're live now. We're looking at the LIVE drinks that are in front of you. We also have available LIVE cleaning products. Check it out. LIVE, live now. Live now. Selling locally in Trinidad and Tobago. Place your order. Shout out to the Most High. The Most High comes first. We got to talk about the Most High. The Most High is very important. We see Elon Musk here with Baphomet on his armor here, as if he's a conqueror. And Jackson Hinkle says Elon Musk is in the deep state. He supports the CIA-backed terrorists in Venezuela. He defends Israeli genocide in Gaza. He provides Ukrainian Nazis with substantial support against Russia. He backs coups in Bolivia, and he supports Milei's IMF prostitution in Argentina. You know, we're going to go into a lot more about this. But first, let me just cover some of the news articles here. The situation in Gaza remains absolutely catastrophic, with Palestinian civilians enduring horrendous maelstrom of human misery, warns Sigrid Kaag, UN Senior Humanitarian and Reconstruction Coordinator of the Enclave. I'm not going to actually quote her because I don't have much time. We have a saying in Aramaic: they kill you, then they walk into your funeral. That's exactly what Israel did after it killed the Syrian Druze kids. They tried to walk into the funeral, and the Syrian Druze, of course, kicked them out of the funeral. The far-right Israeli ministers were expelled from the funeral of 12 children who were killed, let's sit here, in a rocket strike on Majal Shams in the occupied Golan Heights, southwest Syria. Druze mourners called Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich a criminal, along with Economy Minister Ner Barkat, Environment Minister Eden Silmon, Energy Minister Eli Cohen. Okay. Victim's family also rejected Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu's visit and condolences because, of course, this is occupied territory, but it is in Syria. Fears for a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah have escalated amid a series of cross-border attacks, and both Hezbollah and Israel have denied involvement in the recent strike. Of course, we all know Israel was the one that was involved in that strike. Now, I want to say a couple of things because it's very important to say this. By the way, Democracy Now! Says Venezuela's Moderna declared winner of Venezuelan election. The opposition rejects the results. There's been some rioting and stuff going on. The opposition is a Zionist, and she is a CIA sort of brought up to the fore person. So what's going on in Venezuela right now? The people were put under pressure because of sanctions by United States on Venezuela. And so some of the people are protesting the election, but actually Moderna won the election fair and square. I guess they'll do a recount or something. But I think they were trying to get Moderna out. They tried to get Moderna out. France has resisted. Free Palestine is France. Free Palestine is Moderna. They've been trying to get these people out of position, these Zionist people, so America could get Venezuela's oil. But Moderna stood up to them, and they're trying to oust them, basically. Okay. Anyway, back to the point at hand, which is Israel and what happened in Syria. So, as you guys know, the Iron Dome missile, in trying to defend against Lebanon, it actually shot a missile into Syria, into a Druze colony in Syria, which used to be an occupied territory, but it's illegal that Israel's there. Now, let's get into that. Israel has been annexing different countries. It has annexed Syria. In the southern part of Syria, the Golan Heights, they call it, in Galilee, it's annexed there. Of course, it's illegal what it did. It also annexed in Lebanon. Now, according to the Israelis, they'll say, well, God promised us this land. But here's the thing that's really weird. Russia is pretty much annexing or invading Ukraine, right? NATO has assembled, and they want to assemble to rush Russia because they are invading Ukraine at the behest, of course, of some Ukrainians who are Russians. I don't understand. There's not the same standard for Israel, who has violated this invasion of Syria, invasion of Lebanon, invasion of Palestine, calling them occupied territories, but it doesn't really matter what they call it. They're invading. And that's a violation. Why is NATO not in Palestine? Why is NATO not at the southern Syria border? Why is NATO not in Lebanon enforcing and flying the skies and enforcing and shooting down any Israeli airplanes that try to bomb anywhere or do anything? Because Israel is in violation not only of international law, but the sovereignty of Lebanon, the sovereignty of Syria. Why has nobody even thought about that? I don't get it. Before Russia even violated the sovereignty of Ukraine, Israel's been violating Palestinian sovereignty. Okay, they don't have a particular state yet. This is the technicality that Israel's going on. But it's another people's, it's another nation. They've been violating it for 70-something years. In 1982, they violated Lebanon. They had this big war with Lebanon in which they took the southern portion of Lebanon. Again, violation of Lebanon's sovereignty. Violation of Syria's sovereignty. And yet Hezbollah is the bad guy. And yet Hamas is the bad guy. They're the bad actors in this whole thing. No. They stood up and decided to resist. They said, no, you're not going to just take Palestinian land. We're just going to let you take it. No, you're not going to just take Lebanese land like that and we'll just let you take it. No, you're not going to take Syrian land, even with the unrest that's going on, and we'll just let you take it. That's what they're basically saying. They have a right to say that. And yet I don't see that same zest and fervor by NATO to push back on Israel and make sure that Israel doesn't bomb any more of Palestine, doesn't bomb any more of Lebanon, doesn't bomb any more of Syria. Instead, we see NATO not talking about these points and the United States of America assisting Israel in doing these things. Now, we can understand there's some consistency when it comes to Israel assisting Ukraine to fight back against Russia because Ukraine is a sovereign nation and Russia violated that. So we can see where, yeah, okay, but there's no reason for United States or NATO or anybody to be assisting Israel because Israel is violating the sovereignty of Syria and Lebanon. They literally are their own countries. And nobody raises this point. And they've been doing it for decades. This is ridiculous. So that's yet another international law that's been violated. Israel's been violating international law, and the United Nations and the United States have been doing nothing about it. But you're quick to want to do something about Vladimir Putin, call him a war criminal, call him this, that, and the other, talk about he's kidnapping people and their children when he's really saving their children. When the children are going to get bombed the fuck out by Ukrainians because it's Russian children and he pulled them back into Russia to protect them. This is the kind of nonsense we're dealing with. I'm going to show you guys a little bit more and then I'm going to move on to Restore the Snyderverse because I only cover a certain, but this is a major point that nobody talks about. Okay. Asked about Israel destroying a water facility in Gaza or Netanyahu blocking evacuation of sick children. We've asked Israel, and I don't have much info, said this clown. This guy's a clown. Okay. Asked about Majid Sham's attack. I'm not going to get into the underlying data, but it was Hezbollah. He lied again. So this guy's not only a lying piece of shit, but he's also a guy who, you know, I don't want to get into details, but yet, you know, it's Hezbollah. Oh, with the negotiations, I want to talk, you know, get into details about the negotiations with Netanyahu one day, but it was Hamas that resisted. He's lying. This big fat piece of shit. Okay? And that's what I don't like about these guys. They lie so much. Just like Israel. The Israelis breaking down the door, demanding the right to rape Palestinian prisoners and decide. I'm not joking. This is what's happening. Yes, so some Palestinian soldiers have been convicted of rape of Palestinian men in prisons when the New York Times put that article out. And believe it or not, their parliament was trying to actually debate this shit. Okay, they're trying to debate if, you know, raping Palestinians is allowed and it's okay. And in the meantime, while that's happening, a number of people and soldiers and peace and members of legal minds, they were trying to break into the prison to not only rape the soldiers, but also get rape the Palestinians, but also get the soldiers freed. which is some crazy shit. And that goes to say Israel as a nation has gone through. It's gone through. It has no moral foundation. It has no moral fabric. I know most of these people are extreme right wingers. I know most of these people are settlers that are doing this. But if anybody in the Israeli population is agreeing with this, whether it's officials, whether it's people, the normal people, then that society needs to be disbanded because it's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous society. It's melted down. It's no longer operating under principles of civics, shall we say? It's not civic. It's barbaric. You know, it's interesting hearing Netanyahu talk about barbarism, but this is straight up barbarism. Okay, there's no other way to put it. This is Sodom and Gomorrah levels. You know, when Lot took in the angels, the two angels, and then the men came and beat down at the door, and Lot came out. They said they wanted the men to rape and sodomize, which is why we call it sodomy. And Lot came out to talk to them, and they started to beat him up, and they wanted to rape him. And the angels had to pull him back in, and then they smoked them with blindness. You know, it's in Genesis chapter 19 for those of you interested. I'm going to say this right now to you guys. It's the same kind of attitude. Demonic, sick, depraved attitude. And to see, you know, officials and government officials, you know, talking about, oh, these guys need to go free and that they could do anything they want to the Palestinians. It's okay because it's the Palestinians. That's some crazy shit right there. Okay. International outrage forcing an Israeli court to detain Israeli jailers for torture and rape of Palestinian prisoners. In response, Israelis and Knesset members stormed the SDE Teman torture camp to demand the murder of Palestinian prisoners. So that's the kind of craziness going on right now over in Israel. Their history, their toast. Nobody ain't want to. The world right now, in the world's eyes, these guys. Does Israel have a right to defend itself? Did the Nazis have a right to defend themselves? Did fascist Italy have a right to defend itself? I mean, no. So no, Israel as a state shouldn't even be existing right now. And the ugliness of it is just terrible. So yeah, they need to go. They need to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stop this Palestinian thing with this, and then I'm gonna tell y'all to vote for Jill Stein.
We are a small, brave nation who are going to fight to the last drop of blood to put justice for ourselves after the world failed in giving it to us.
Okay.
All your armies, all your fighters,
all your tanks and all your soldiers against the boy holding a stone.
Standing there, all alone.
In his eyes, I see the sun.
In his smile, I see the moon.
And I wonder, I only wonder.
Who is weak and who is strong?
Who is right and who is wrong?
And I only wish,
that the truth has a tongue.
We are a small, brave nation who are going to fight to the last drop of blood to put justice for ourselves after the world failed in giving it to us.
Well said. This is just how many 3,000 something. We're talking children and women out there That's why the atrocities that have done over decades, these people feel they can get away with it and continue business as usual. It's not going to happen. All right, Senate House. We're going to talk about Restore the Snyderverse in a second. Like I said before, the point why Restore the Snyderverse, there's a reason. It has to do with Deadpool and the Wolverine. So we'll talk about that. I thought it was just okay, and right off the bat, Batman the animated series is still way better. So I agree with this rating. I would give it a 10 out of 10 probably. I haven't even seen it yet. Right, this guy, he defends rape. They're attacking Jewish American activists. Christians United for Israel, Kofi. We even have Christians United for Israel who are against what they've been promoting concerning Israel. U.S. is corporate war on Venezuela. Here is Jeffrey Sachs talking about that. But here it is. This is the one I'm talking about here. Khalidu. Shout out to Khalidu. Yes, Zack Snyder's Justice League story rarely can be finished. Deadpool and Wolverine just proved it at Fortress ZA. So let's just look at it. Fortress of Solitude, Fortress ZA. All right, let's get it. Let's read this through really quickly. And then, so I want you guys to see what he was saying and the points that he was saying so we can get into that really quickly. Now, this is Brad Curran who said this. Brad Curran wrote this article. Shout out to Brad Curran, always saying some great things, and I love it. Yes, Zack Snyder's Justice League story. Hold on a second. We like to show you notifications. No, thank you. Okay. Yes, Zack Snyder's Justice League story rarely can be finished. Deadpool and the Wolverine just proved it. This article contains huge spoilers for Deadpool and the Wolverine. Okay. Marvel's Deadpool and Wolverine demonstrates that realizing Zack Snyder's eternally legendary but unmade Justice League sequels is indeed possible. Deadpool and Wolverine teams up Ryan Reynolds' Merc with a mouth up. Ryan Reynolds' Merc with a mouth up with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in a mission to save the former's universe from being wiped out of existence. Deadpool and the Wolverine also includes an abundance of cameos and supporting characters, building out the movie's multiverse-spanning adventure. Meanwhile, Deadpool and the Wolverine's wild twist of all is how much the movie addresses, thoroughly debunks just about all the most commonly cited roadblocks to Zack Snyder's 5-part Justice League arc ever being finished. One such oft-cited roadblock is the notoriously troubled production of Justice League itself, causing an insurmountable falling out between Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers. That divide has already begun to erode with the recent news of Zack Snyder entering talks with Warner Bros. Discovery to helm a 300 prequel series via Variety, indicating that the split between Zack Snyder and Warner Bros. Is at least in the process of healing. The fact that Warner Bros. Discovery current management were not involved in the behind-the-scenes Justice League troubles is undoubtedly a major factor in Snyder and the studio seemingly being on working terms together. You know, Abdi and DeLuca. This is also where Deadpool and the Wolverine enters the equation, by the way. Of the numerous Marvel actors returning in cameos and supporting roles, most of which were also seen as outright impossibilities before July 25th, 2024. One of the most relevant is Wesley Snipes' return as Blade in Deadpool and the Wolverine, a major surprise after the legendarily troubled production of 2004's Blade Trinity and the bad blood that arose between Snipes and Ryan Reynolds. Yet, per Snipes himself, Reynolds personally contacted him about returning as Blade. The fact that Snipes and Reynolds were able to bury the hatchet for Deadpool and the Wolverine also argues heavily against the notion that Snyder and Warner Bros. Could not do the same if a mutual desire to wrap up Snyder's Justice League story was met between the two parties. The DCU's decline and potential for revival. Another commonly cited reason Zack Snyder's two unmade Justice League sequels will forever remain unmade is the decline of the DCU itself, along with the upcoming DCU reboot. Indeed, the DCU experienced an absolutely dreadful year at the box office in 2023, of course. Certain matters in this case, as an argument, can most definitely be made that the DCEU's 2023 slate was doomed as soon as news broke of James Gunn's impending reboot. Additionally, the return of Jennifer Garner's Elektra also makes a compelling case for even the most unlikely of comebacks. Garner's Elektra previously appeared in 2003's Daredevil, which saw a decent but not a spectacular reception, and 2005's Elektra spinoff, which was quite ill-received and earned a whopping $57 million worldwide. However, Garner's iteration of Elektra hadn't exactly accrued anything resembling a cult following. Still, none of that mattered to Deadpool and the Wolverine. The movie had a multiverse-spanning story to tell, and Garner's Elektra fit right into it. It's also often argued that Zack Snyder and the entire Justice League cast have moved on from the franchise altogether. By the same token, Deadpool and the Wolverine began running roughshod over the idea of such a permanent retirement the moment Hugh Jackman's Wolverine comeback was announced. 2017 Logan explicitly and quite emphatically marketed itself as Jackman Wolverine's swan song, as did Jackman himself. And Deadpool and the Wolverine still integrates Jackman as a Wolverine variant while preserving Wolverine's demise in Logan. Within the context of Deadpool and the Wolverine, Hugh Jackman is also hardly alone in returning to a comic book movie character he'd seemingly moved on from. The multiverse factor and unexpected returns. Daphne Keene's X-23 also returns to claw down her enemies in Deadpool and the Wolverine, while Taylor Maine's Sabretooth also returns for an admittedly brief mutant smackdown with Wolverine. Chris Evans' acclaimed 8-year run as MCU's Captain America also left his prior performance as the Human Torch in Fox's Fantastic Four movies, all but forgotten by the general public, yet Evans is on hand to exclaim "Flame on!" for the first time in 17 years in Deadpool and the Wolverine. Aaron Stanford's Pyro also makes a similar return, while the movie also includes a couple of major wild cards in Channing Tatum's Gambit and Henry Cavill's Wolverine variant, the former appearing despite Fox Gambit's solo movie never getting off the ground, and the latter paying off the long-running internet fan casting of Cavill as Wolverine. The point is that in superhero genre, no big star or filmmaker retirement is ever truly set in stone, especially not when the multiverse is a factor. Not for Deadpool and the Wolverine, not for Zack Snyder's Justice League. It should also be emphasized that realizing the remainder of Zack Snyder's Justice League arc is far more grandiose task than the supporting players of Deadpool and Wolverine returning to iconic roles. It's more grandiose than that. Finishing Snyder's story of Darkseid's invasion of the Earth and the nightmare future, the League's final battle against the forces of Apocalypse, and the heroic sacrifice of Ben Affleck's Batman is a much bigger endeavor than simply calling up a dozen or so actors for a week or two of shooting. However, Deadpool and the Wolverine does nonetheless demonstrate that the most commonly cited reasons for why it can never happen ultimately don't hold water. This is great stuff by Brad Curran as usual. The Snyderverse. The part 4 for the Snyderverse. While an overall A might be much larger, Snyder getting the Justice League band back together is no more outrageous a desire for fans to advocate than for Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds working together again. Finishing up Snyder's 5-part Justice League arc is an endeavor that would surely be complex, laborious, and call upon Snyder, Warner Brothers Discovery, DC Studios, and the Justice League cast to all agree to come on board. But after the once unthinkable comebacks of numerous former Marvel stars that Deadpool and the Wolverine just pulled off, along with Robert Downey Jr. becoming MCU's Doctor Doom the very same weekend at San Diego Comic-Con, one thing restoring the Snyderverse cannot be is called a ludicrous proposition. Shout out to Brad Curran. Killing it once again. I love Brad Curran and his articles. Always great articles by Brad Curran. Shout out to Brad Curran on this. Shout out to DC. Shout out to Restore the Snyderverse. For those of you who didn't see this stream, don't forget you can also donate via PayPal. You can like, share, subscribe. I am done right here. I am Christ. I am Disciple, aka Anson Phillip. You guys have been watching this video. I don't want to waste your time or mine. I'm out of here. Peace to everybody. Have a great day. God bless you.